Hello guys, Mocap here. In the near future, the unmanned Pilgrim 7 spacecraft will return to Earth orbit from Mars, and soil samples may contain evidence of alien life. The probe was intercepted by the International Space Station and sampled by its 6-person crew. Alien biologist Hugh Derry awakens a dormant cell from the specimen, which rapidly grows into a multicellular organism known to American schoolchildren as Calvine. Derry realized that Calvine cells could change their specialization and act as muscles, neurons, and photoreceptors at the same time. As Derry probed Calvine further, it crushed his arm and knocked him unconscious. Calvine escaped from its enclosure and it swallowed a lab mouse that grew in size. Engineer Rory Adams rescued Derry, but was isolated in the lab when Calvine attacked him. Adam tried to fight Calvine, but Calvine went through his body and killed him. Calvine got out through the fire escape. Soon after, the station's communications system overheated and lost all contact with Earth. ISS Commander Yekaterina Golovkina went on a spacewalk to find and fix the problem, only to discover it was Calvine. Calvine attacks her and destroys her spacesuit's cooling system. With a spacesuit filled with coolant, Golovkina blindly headed for the airlock. She and the crew realized that if they let her in, Calvine would re-enter the space station, so she chose to stay outside and drowned in her spacesuit. Calvine attempts to re-enter the space station using the thrusters. The crew fired the engines to blow it off, but they used up so much fuel that the ISS entered a descending orbit, where it would burn up in Earth's atmosphere. Pilot Sho Murakami suggested using the ISS's remaining fuel to return to a safe orbit. Although this would allow Calvine to return, the crew closed in on one side of the space station and prepared to vent the atmosphere on the other side, putting Calvine to sleep. Derry suddenly died and the crew found Calvine eating his leg and attacked them. Murakami goes into sleep while Calvine tries to break into it. Dr. David Jordan and quarantine officer Miranda North used Derry's body as bait to lure Calvine and trap him on the other side. They discovered that the Soyuz spacecraft was on its way to intercept an earlier distress call from the International Space Station. When the Soyuz ejected the ISS from Earth's orbit, Murakami attempted to board the spacecraft, but the Soyuz crashed into the ISS, killing him and the Soyuz crew and causing the ISS's orbit to collapse again. The other survivors, Jordan and North, thought Calvine might survive re-entry into Earth's atmosphere, so they planned to lure Calvine to one of the ISS's 2 escape stages. Once inside, Jordan will manually pull Calvine's pod into deep space, isolating it and allowing North to return to Earth in another pod. Their plan apparently worked. However, North's pod was eventually hit by debris while Jordan was attacked by Calvine. As North's pod flies off in one direction, she records a black box message to warn Earth of Calvine's threat. Eventually, one of the 2 pods made it to the surface and was found by Vietnamese fishermen, while the other was knocked off Earth. Vietnamese fishermen found pods from Jordan, not from the North. A Vietnamese fisherman then ignored his warnings to open Jordan's pod. Other ships arrived, and North's pod flew off into deep space as she screamed. In another movie called The Adam Project, in the dystopian year 2050, fighter pilot Adam Red steals a time plane and escapes to 2018 to rescue his wife, Laura. In the process, he was injured and forced to land in 2022. The story then jumps to 2022 to 12-year-old Adam, whose father Louis died the year before. He was bullied at school, suspended for fighting at school, and estranged from his mother, Ellie. One night, when he is home alone, he finds an injured future Adam. Little Adam refused to believe the stranger, but future Adam accidentally mentioned the names of little Adam and his dog Hawking. Young Adam soon realizes that the stranger is his future self. Since Adam has a safety device that prevents him from flying due to his injury, he must take young Adam and use his DNA to gain access to his plane. They are soon attacked by the leader of the dystopian world, Maya Soriana, and her assistant Crystal, but are saved by Laura, who has faked her own death and is off the grid in an unknown location. After surviving the attack and comparing notes, Laura and Adam realized that after Louis Reed invented time travel and then died, Torian had a monopoly on the discovery. During her visit in 2018, Laura learns that Torian often visits and consults his past to ensure his future wealth and power. To protect his secret, Torian ordered Laura executed. Although Laura survived the assassination attempt, the destruction of her time plane sent her back to the past. The sudden arrival of Torian's assassins interrupts the reunion, and Laura fights off the attack long enough for the two Adams to escape to 2018. In 2018, Adams met Louis Reed to try to get his help, but their father refused any help due to his influence on the time stream. That night, Sorian meets and warns his past about Adam. Meanwhile, Adam shares mutual feelings about his father at the motel. The next day, they set off together to destroy the time travel machine. After arriving at the Soriana Technology Corporation, they were attacked by Soliana soldiers, but were unexpectedly saved by Louis, who changed his mind and agreed to lead them. Louis discovers that destroying the machine will not destroy time travel as long as Sorian has his algorithm and all the math and constraints to control the process. Meanwhile, in 2050, Torian captures young Adam, while Louis and 2050 Adam use the algorithm to erase the memory device. The two arrive and threaten 2022 Adam as a means to force Louis to hand over the algorithm. 2050 Adam froze time and allowed Adam to push his weapon in 2022 to escape Soriana, but an errant bullet damaged the seal and confined the electromagnetic field, causing it to increase to infinity. The Reeds do their best to stop them, but the elder Sorian threatens to kill Louis. Adam warns that her bullets can pierce armor, but Louis insists. With nothing else to do, Sorian shot Louis, but the electromagnetic field changed the bullet's path and hit Soriana 2018 instead, killing her and erasing both Sorians from existence. The Reeds narrowly escaped the facility's collapse and returned home, where they reconciled by plane catch before Adams returned to his own time. In 2022, young Adam lives in a new timeline where he was never suspended, unleashed his anger, and hugged his mother through Echo. Sometime in the future, an older and much happier Adam meets Laura during flight training, and Laura realizes, to Adam's delight, that she is in the wrong building on campus. Adam offers to take her to his building, saying he has time, and they leave together. As a movie recap channel, we thank you for being a part of our community. Stay tuned for more exciting content.